So this video will be quite different from what I usually do. As a matter of fact, I typically make a top 10 best hand traps of the format and another top 10 like best board breaking cards of the format, but this time I'll be mixing both of them up together in one video. Of course, you already know it though. Before this video starts, my man, friendly reminder to smash the like and subscribe button. I really appreciate all of you guys, and now let's jump right into it. Alright, so in the number 10 position, I have Dark Ruler No More. It's not a card that I find particularly good against tier elements, but it's still really good against Sprite because the majority of their really relevant interruptions are on the field, whereas tier elements, it's kind of like all in the graveyard and in the back row. It's also really good against Draco Slayer if they couldn't search the secret village of the spellcasters. Next one is another board breaker that I'm not really fond of anymore, and that would be Super Bali. Now, the funny thing about Super Bali is that it's usually so good that when it's bad, it's still kind of decent to a certain extent. The issue right now is that it's not the best because in Tier Elements mirror matches, it doesn't really perform against people who do not play like Dweller and Lulu Karos as their end board, because you wouldn't really be able to make them lose their two monsters so that you can make Mud Dragon of the Swamp and prevent them from dwellering you. And that way, Super Bali is more often than not a brick in the mirror. And also, it kind of achieves nothing against Flunderies, but it is very good against Sprite, again, even though I want to say Dark Ruler probably trades a little better against that deck. Number 8 is a hand shot for once, and that would be Infinite Impermanence. It's a better card than Veiler, and I'm a huge fan, personally, of cards that are not once per turn, do not lose out to Call by the Grave, triple tactic talents, can be drawn for turn, and also has that extra utility to out the floodgates, and like Spell and Trap Zone, for example. Unfortunately, its ceiling level is not the highest because all it really does is negate the effect of a monster, so it's not really higher on the list. Next up is a card that is neither a hand trap nor a board breaker, and that would be Tea Refinery, a card that is pretty much perfectly balanced to go first and second. I'm a huge fan of this card because just like Pancratops, it is an inherent summon, it searches itself, which is kind of crazy, and you can keep on searching itself over and over again if you're playing the Shizu monsters to shuffle back your other Fenriers from the graveyard into the deck. And also, banishing cards face down is just such a good mechanic. Now, I'm gonna have to give the number 6 position to Forbidden Droplet for a bunch of reasons. It's a quick play spell card just like Super Polymerization. The only difference is that you can use it to negate the Dweller even when they don't have Lulu Karos, and the fact that, of course, it's a quick play means that if you try going first, at least it does something, unlike Dark Ruler No More. The only massive drawback would be the cost to activate the card to begin with, because if you're trying to negate a bunch of cards, you're gonna have to go neg a lot, and Tier Elements can't really afford the luxury. And Forbidden Droplet is also quite useless against D-Shifter because you can't successfully send cards to the graveyard as a cost, so you can't legally activate the card. Alright, number 5 is where it gets pretty interesting. I'll say Cyphergirigama definitely deserves it, and here's why. Being able to negate and destroy is absolutely massive, and against the right kind of deck, you can make them pass turn. For example, if your opponent is playing Sprite and opens up Nimble Beaver, as well as a bunch of Sprite monsters, and they don't have the Sprite starter, a single Gamma is enough to make them pass on nothing. And honestly, resolving this card on your own turn is absolutely disgusting. You negate a card, and then you summon 2 monsters. You can make a level 8 Synchro or Link 2. The world is your oyster, my man. And you can use it to negate D-Shifter. Like, how ridiculous is that? Like, the only other hand trap that would do that would be Herald of Orange Light, which is now at 1. And honestly, if it didn't involve the brick that is Driver, I would put it way higher on the list. Alright, another hand trap that deserves the number 4 spot, and that one is a Silver Bullet, so it's only really good against certain kind of decks, and that would be Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. If you draw this card against Flunderies or a deck that you don't have the right extra deck card to beat, it will do absolutely less than nothing, but against the right decks such as Tier Elements or Sprite, this card can be massive. You can remove their Kid Kalos or their Gigantic Splite or their Splite Elf, or even against some other rogue decks, you can still kind of do something. So the more free extra deck space that you have for this card, the better it is. But it kind of sucks going first because you can only use this card when your opponent controls more monsters than you do. And if you're going first, then you're also summoning monsters, so it can kind of just be dead. In the number 3 position, I have Triple Tactic Talents, a card that is really good going first and also going second. The ability to steal monsters going second is absolutely huge because you're not targeting, but also drawing 2 cards or looking at your opponent's hand can also be very nice. And realistically, when you're going second, your opponent will always use monster effects on your main phase, so Triple Tactic Talents will always be live. Alright, now we're getting near the end. Number 2 absolutely has to go to Bestial Magna Mode. This card is absolutely cracked. I want to say in the Tier Elements mirror match, the first player to start abusing Magna Mode wins the game. I mean, think about it. It's a DD Crow, it's a special summon monster of a level 6 Dark Dragon monster with really big stats on the field, and on the end phase, it searches any dragon monster from the deck or grave to hand. Bruh. And also, it's a free material for Beatrice or for Eradicator Virus or Deck Dev or even Full Force Virus, so you can just do so many things with the card. And last but absolutely not least, the dirtiest going second card of the whole format. You already know it, it's the Mention Shifter. This card is one of the most one-sided cards ever printed because it shuts down an entire mechanic for 2 full turns, and it gives you enough time to set up and kill your opponent right away. However, one thing that I will say is that usually decks that can play D-Shifter are not necessarily the best except for Flunderies, Sprite, and maybe Exorcister. But that's pretty much it for my top 10 best going second cards of the format. Guys, let me know, what do you think is the best going second card right now? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.